What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham update. Just me today. Ben is busy doing other things, so you just got me to contend with for today's Tottenham update. A few bits and pieces to go through, not like some crazy news, but first of all, very interesting stuff coming out of Bloomberg Business. They're saying former Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy is to be believed to be in talks about selling his almost 30% stake in the ownership of Spurs for approximately $1 billion to a consortium including Hong Kong businessman Wing Fei. The consortium is comprised of Asian business tycoons. That is coming from Bloomberg. So obviously, on the face of it, it's very interesting news. 30%, obviously, that's so 1 billion. So that would kind of the price of Spurs then would be about 3.5 billion. I'm guessing around about that ballpark. If that's how much he's selling it for, that's how much you'd price Spurs at, which is interesting considering apparently when we're looking to sell, we're looking at about 5 billion. On the face of it, Daniel Levy getting further away from the club and him selling his shares sounds okay. But when you think about it, I mean, we're already having problems at the moment in the hierarchy when it comes to people making decisions. You add another voice into the boardroom. Is that going to be helpful right now? There's a lot of change happening at the top. Everyone seems to be passing the buck when it comes to decisions. There's a lot of kind of new heads of departments coming in with this kind of, if more business people come into the head of the football club with their own people, their own obviously demands and their own decisions wanting to be made and more voices in the boardroom. I don't know if that's a positive thing. I'm not 100% sure what I think about it. Obviously, Daniel Levy, being not a part of Tottenham at all in terms of having shares and not making money of Tottenham, I'm fine with that happening. But I don't know, having more business people in the boardroom doesn't sound like something that's a positive thing for me. And who's there thinking about the footballing side? Who's there thinking about how do we get Tottenham to be the best footballing team they can be a part of, as opposed to how can we maximise profits, how can we get as much money as possible, and how can we get more money in our own pocket? And that's kind of what I envisage would be more in line with selling to some Hong Kong businessmen and another consortium. They're going to be more in line with that. Who knows? Maybe they do have interest in winning trophies and getting Tottenham back at competing amongst the elite. But let me know in the comment section below what you think of potentially Daniel Levy selling up and selling his stake and more businessmen entering the boardroom, potentially an Asian consortium. I think it's a very interesting development, and what that means in the short term. It's going to be very interesting to see where that leaves Tottenham in the short term. Fabrizio Romano confirmed yesterday Tottenham were very aggressive on Curtis Jones at the start of the window, but they then decided to move on to Conor Gallagher, which is, I find, just baffling and interesting. Obviously, Curtis Jones, I've been on record saying I really like him. I think he's the kind of profile Tottenham want, and I think he's the kind of midfielder we should be looking for. Someone who's calm on the ball. He's a bit of a technician. He sets the pace of a game. He likes to knit the play together. I think it would have been a brilliant kind of coup if we could have got him through the door, especially from Liverpool, given their situation. I think if we could have convinced Curtis Jones to come to Tottenham, given where we are in the league, that would have been good. That would have been really positive. But we've moved on. We've gone for Conor Gallagher. Now, the baffling thing is Conor Gallagher is nothing like Curtis Jones. He's a completely different profile. Yes, they're both young English central midfielders, but Conor Gallagher is much more of a bull in a china shop, 100 miles an hour, box-to-box midfielder. Tackles, duels, that's his kind of name of the game for him. Gets in the box crashing midfielder, whereas Curtis Jones is very much deep lying, knits the play together, controls the pace of the game, passes in between the lines. Progressive passes, I think, is one of the best in the league in what the statistics say. So they're just like polar opposites. Curtis Jones isn't exactly a guy who's going to get his foot stuck in. He's not a massive duel winner like Conor Gallagher. So they seem to be very different midfielders. So the fact that when that kind of calls into question the scouting, or exactly it calls into question the muddled kind of scouting, in my opinion, because if Conor Gallagher is the next in line for Curtis Jones, then do you know what you're looking for? What exactly is the plan? Are we looking for someone to fit into a team that's lacking something, or are we just trying to get another body in who's top quality and improves the level of the squad? Is that the goal? Because I think for me, scouting, when you talk about scouting, it should be within the vision of, we've got this team. It needs certain puzzle pieces to complete exactly the vision of the team, and we need to go scout the qualities of those players that we're missing. And I think Curtis Jones would be the kind of missing piece to the jigsaw that we're looking for. Whereas at the moment, it seems as though we're looking for a certain, like, English young good, essentially, or gettable in this window, and then the list goes like Curtis Jones, Conor Gallagher, I don't know, whoever else. And for me, that's the wrong way of looking at scouting. And look, obviously, I'm not a professional. I'm not employed in the scouting department, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just giving my 2 cents. But to me, it seems very muddled. It doesn't seem to be a very cohesive strategy when it comes to scouting, if that's what they've gone for. So it's very confusing to me if Conor Gallagher is the alternative to Curtis Jones. But we got him through the door. Let's hope Conor Gallagher, becomes a good signing and a good player for us. But I really think Curtis Jones would have been a much better fit. So I think that's, very, very interesting. Fabrice Hawkins confirming on the Matisse Tell situation. He says Matisse Tell spoke with Thomas Frank. He expressed his doubts about continuing with the coach. Understood. The coach greatly appreciated how Tell approaches things. After playing more often as of late, the player now wants to continue his momentum. So that's really positive. Obviously, I want Matisse Tell to stay. I think he's been doing quite well in recent games, getting I think his performances have been improving. I think he's been testing his fullback a lot more. Obviously, he got his goal against Bournemouth, scored against Man United a while ago now, but, got on the score sheet. And I think he's been much more in the game. He's been much more of a threat in recent weeks. And obviously, it was frustrating for him to be left out the Champions League squad, but that's definitely turned out to be a good decision from Thomas Frank, given that Solanke has 2 goals in 2 games. But we're just so short in numbers right now. We need everybody we can get. And I think Matisse Tell, for me, I know a lot of people have their reservations about him. He's a young player. He hasn't set the world light since coming to Tottenham. But I think there's a lot of talent in there. And for me, I really like what he's showing at the moment. And I think we need to get him on the pitch a lot more than we have in recent weeks. And hopefully he starts playing a lot more often. And hopefully he's in a better place. And I'm glad that he now, given he's played a bit more in recent weeks, is accepting that he needs to stay. Hopefully that's water under the bridge, and we can move forward this season, because I think there's a great player in Matisse Tell. I think he offers something we don't really have as well, which is much more goals from out wide. I know people say, well, where are these goals? He's got 3 in limited minutes, and I think given more time, he'll start to score more, and I think he's got brilliant shooting technique. He's so good at getting separation and getting those shots off. So I think it's good. I'm glad he's staying. Hopefully we can just put this to one side now, assess the situation at the end of the season, if Frank's still here, if he still wants to leave, all that kind of stuff. So, I'm really happy Matisse Tell is staying. And a couple other stories from about loans out. Dane Scarlett has joined Scottish side Hibernian on loan till the end of the season. Obviously, limited minutes. He has come on the last few games, given the fact that our squad has been so thin. And everyone wants to see Dane Scarlett do well. There's so much hope about him in the early parts of his career. Jose Mourinho giving him his debut at 16, saying, I wanted to be the one to say I gave Dane Scarlett his debut. Hasn't obviously panned out. A series of loan moves have been real struggles for him. He hasn't really excelled in any of them. He's come back to Tottenham, had very limited minutes. No managers seem to trust him when he has got those minutes. I wouldn't say he's been impressive, to be honest. He's had his moments, scored against Elfsborg in a big game last season in Europa League to get us in that top 8. But he's kind of just not been trusted. He's been shunted out on the right wing by Thomas Frank. So hopefully this loan move reignites something. I would say at this point now, he'll be 22 soon. It's probably going to be in line with trying to drum up some value for him so we can sell him rather than any future at Tottenham, unfortunately, as hard, tough as that is to say. I really hope he smashes out and maybe he comes back to the fold at Tottenham with a newly found confidence and a new lease of life. There's definitely a good finisher in there. I think you've seen the training videos. He's a brilliant finisher. So hopefully he can bring that to a good level, and I think he just needs to improve his overall game, and that's where he struggled. I think he's definitely a fox in the box kind of striker, but it hasn't really worked out at Tottenham. I wish for him all the best. Hibs are currently 5th in the Scottish League, so he's going to be battling out to get them into European football for next season, but we'll see how that goes. And good luck to Dane Scarlett on loan at Hibernian. And one other story which I think is quite interesting is Yusuf Akamrich, who's gone on loan to Bristol Rovers, announced late last week. And on his debut against Newport, has scored a brace for Bristol Rovers, the youngster. High hopes for him. He's been in a few squads in the Champions League, given our kind of thin squad. And obviously he's got the chance to go out on loan. And he's done brilliantly. He's done brilliantly with on his home debut against Newport. Won his first goal, smashed it with his left foot from 25 yards, past the keeper. Brilliant finish in the next goal. Ball over the top, brilliant control and finish, which was of the highest order. So go check out his goals on his debut for Bristol Rovers. Yusuf, maybe this is one to watch from now to the end of the season and in the future as well. A lot of good youngsters doing well on loan. Saw Oli Iro as well, scored 2 goals on his debut. So keep you posted on all the loanies, how they're doing as well throughout the season. But look, that's your Tottenham update. We'll see you guys very, very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.